It is day 90, December 20th, and from now on things will get hectic. The Brig was the last episode to have massive time jumps. According to the Lostpedia timeline, it is only 10 days from now until when Ben turns the wheel and the Oceanic Six leave the island. So expect a lot of long treks across the island in short time. We'll begin with Ben. I didn't have much time to cover the trek in last week's episode since it was so long to begin with, but I believe that Ben and Locke went down here, then north and up to the cabin. The reason for this might be because this is Ben's route to the place, also hoping that he would be there at night time. But the reason for this route is mostly due to the way Locke will trek towards the cabin in the next season.
Because, James, we have to make a little detour first.
So we're gonna do an off-screen trek first. Ben just learned from Mikhail in the previous episode that a woman parachuted onto the island. He knows this is Widmore's freighter, his nemesis.
They had an injured woman with them. Apparently she had just parachuted onto the island.
What?
Her helo crashed into water. She says her ship is approximately 130 degrees to the west of us. She has a radio telephone.
So he's really stressed out. And then you had the Locke situation too. Ben walks away from the mass grave, so he's not too far from the barracks. He's going back to his home. You see, the night the group left the barracks, he called Michael and asked him to gather information about the freighter people.
I want you to compile a list of names. Every person on your boat. When I call again, you'll give me that list. Then you will disable the radio room you're sitting in.
He therefore ordered the woman at the looking glass to turn off the jamming system for a short while, goes into his secret room, and then calls Michael on the freighter again. Michael gives out all the names. We don't see this happen, but we know it has to happen at this point at the latest. And I do think it happens on this day, since he just learned about the parachutist. Michael also tells him how dangerous they are.
What kind of guy do you think I am?
Martin Christopher Keamy, former First Sergeant, United States Marine Corps, served with distinction from 1996 to 2001. But since then, you've worked with a number of mercenary organizations, specifically in Uganda. So I know exactly what kind of man you are, Mr. Keamy, and we can dispense with the formalities.
At the freighter, Michael has given the order to disable the radio equipment. We later learn that Ben wasn't the only one calling. By now, Penelope has been calling around, but Minkowski has orders from Charles Widmore not to answer them. However, Michael doesn't disable them just yet. Maybe because Minkowski is watching him, Michael will disable the radio room 2 days from now on, and then he's going to take out the engines too. There's another off-screen scene, and this one is much more debatable. We don't know if it happens. Because when Ben comes back to the camp, he first sends Ryan to gather his 10 best, advancing the raid on the survivors' camp. Then there might be an off-screen scene with Harper. The thing is, we have the odd situation with Harper in the next season, where she claims she's carrying out orders from Ben.
I came to deliver a message from Ben. The two people you're looking for, Faraday and Lewis, they're headed to the Tempest. And if they figure out how to deploy that gas, then everyone on this island is going to die.
Julia, look at me in the eye and tell me you are certain that Benjamin Linus wouldn't use this gas to kill everyone on this island!
He could have contacted her today, giving a list of instructions in case things backfire, since this is his last day without being in captivity. He doesn't know that, but if he's thinking several steps in advance, there could have been a conversation with them, since he's fuming with anger, saying the survivors can be slaughtered if they get in the way.
If any of them are stupid enough to get in your way, kill them.
So starting to orchestrate a gas plan targeted at some areas on the island in case things go haywire seems kind of in character. I think it's likely that the gas was deployed at many places on the island, but not the entire island, or else wildlife on the island would be wiped out completely. So maybe the temple and the barracks were exempt from the gas plan? It feels like something Ben would do. The Harper situation is odd, and I'll come back to it later.
When'd you get back?
Just now.
Where's Locke?
Here's your gun back.
Alex runs in this direction and then sends Carl to warn the Losties. He is hiding. He runs through the jungle and comes to the beach and takes the original outrigger out to sea. He is at this cove and will travel down south. Jack brings only the main characters all over here. The last time the crew shot scenes here at this filming location was back in One of Us, way up north. So this is a location we haven't seen before, in close proximity of the camp, so it's not in the golf course valley. It's a relatively flat area, surrounded by mountains. So I have placed it here. This is the meeting spot that Jack and Juliet met with Danielle in an off-screen scene in the last episode. Desmond has a flash. He tells Charlie about it, but here's a visualization of how I think it happened, using the basis from Catch-22.
They're playing football with them. What?
Nothing.
Wait. You had one of your flashes again, didn't you?
Jack yells for Danielle. He tells them about the plan. Then they all go back to the camp.
If you don't, none of it'll happen. There won't be any rescue.
Desmond tells Charlie about the flash, and I believe he is telling the truth. He only sees bits and pieces, and like he explained earlier, he doesn't see the entire picture. It is out of character for Desmond to lie to Charlie, telling him that Claire and Aaron left the island. Juliet reveals that the Looking Glass station is jamming radio communications. Script coordinator Greg Nations has confirmed that this paper, Hatch, well, that is an error. However, I like the theory that Sawyer and Jin, having been part of the Dharma Initiative in the past, kept saying the word Hatch a lot during the 70s, and it stuck as a nickname, since Jin was signing papers for the Dharma Initiative.
These are grid maps that the Dharma people used to identify pockets of electromagnetism. Whoever signed these could really help me out. I know the writing's difficult to read, but it sure looks like it says Jin Suquan.
Then maybe Jin, while learning English, printed out this schematic and the word Hatch stuck by, since he only knows that name as the name the 815 survivors used for the Dharma stations, primarily the Swan.
Because right now there's a man sitting in a room in my hatch.
I gotta get back to the hatch.
It's about the hatch.
I'm done with the hatch.
I gotta head back to the hatch. Hatch ain't going nowhere, Doc.
Locke said some kind of blastos trapped him in the hatch.
Taking showers in your hatch.
Locked up in the hatch? Aaron and I could stay in the bedroom in the hatch for a while.
Later, dudes. Gotta get to the hatch.
Pretty good English, Jin.
Thank you. I understand better than I speak.
Charlie and Desmond volunteer to shut down the Looking Glass station. Carl arrives on the beach and explains himself.
Juliet marked 3 tents. That means we need 3 guns.
Whoa! Here, you can have mine too.
It's interesting that Jack says they don't have any more guns, only 2. Remember when they had loads of them? Well, they've lost them all, either in the hunting party in the season 2 finale or during the sneak attack on the barracks. Sawyer even comments on it in expose.
Give me a gun.
I don't have the guns. A-team took them all.
Right, except for the ones you kept for yourself.
Even if I had a gun, I wouldn't give it to you.
So a lot of the guns that the others have belong to our survivors to begin with. Carl hands them one of the guns, a Beretta Model 92F. It could be one of Marshall's guns from the Swan, or another Dharma station. They will use this one on the raid. The other 2 rifles they have belong to Desmond and Danielle. Desmond's Remington rifle from the Swan that he has been using to kill boar with, and the other rifle is of course Danielle's. But wait a minute, Sawyer has a gun.
Look, y'all stay here. Let me see if I can see any sign of them. I'll do a perimeter sweep.
Where'd you get the gun?
Got it off one of them.
The Sig Sauer P228 gun he threatened Locke with. It is likely in his backpack, but it's to no use. It's not one of the guns that stayed behind on the beach, and it doesn't have any bullets. So I guess that's why Sawyer didn't say anything, and the Beretta that Carl handed to them only has the 1 cartridge. Carl didn't have extra ammo. Bernard volunteers to be one of the shooters, then Saeed gets Jin on board. Desmond and Charlie take the outrigger and then paddle over here. They're gonna pass the crater and many other famous locations, as well as this part of the island, without seeing the lighthouse. I wish I could have put the lighthouse on other parts of the island, but since everyone has been on various sailing and trekking adventures without seeing it, and the season 6 trek of Hurley and Jack, which I'll come back to in season 6, I still hold my point that the lighthouse is here on the southern tip. Desmond and Charlie arrive here, find the cable, and then heads out again. I love this piece of land, by the way, because the VFX team uses it in their model of the main island, seen from Hydra Island. Great attention to detail by them, once again emphasizing the Hydra's location in relation to the main island. Charlie swims down to the Looking Glass, a gigantic underwater station where he is captured by Greta and Bonnie. See you in the next episode, the season 3 finale.